The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the host of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Cedar Fair Entertainment Company, the amusement industry, and the business of fun. Here are your hosts, Karsten Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast where we cover Cedar Point, Six Flags, and everything to do with fun. I'm really surprised I remember that, because it's been like 3.5 weeks since I've done one of these.
I don't even know, who are you?
Yeah.
Who wandered
right.
on the set here?
I don't know how to record, and everything's just been kind of a whirlwind, and we definitely apologize that, we haven't been releasing any episodes, but to be fair, we've
Kyle
kind of
lived through two hurricanes.
Yeah,
well,
I will not apologize. I went through 2 hurricanes. You guys are
two
the ones
hurricanes
that-
while we took like a few weeks off, but the reason we took a few weeks off is because we didn't really have a whole lot of news, and we kind of still don't, but we're going to scratch and claw at something.
We couldn't talk about the carousel going backwards for an hour.
Right. And then I don't even think we talked about that.
I do want to, we didn't even put it in the show notes, but Kyle, I want to ask, how was living through Hurricane Milton?
Well, first we had Helene. Helene for Orlando was not bad at all. Helene shifted north and hit the Big Bend. So we got off pretty good in Orlando. I didn't even have so much as down tree, flicker of power, anything like that. Milton was a little bit different. Truly, it was kind of like a state of panic around here, just because we are so close to Tampa, and the eye was projected to come right through like Orlando and right over all of the parks. I was out the day before the storm. We had started hurricane prepping, like the week before the storm hit, because we knew pretty far out that, all right, guys, this is going to be like the big one. Like hunker down. Mm-hmm. We got to be prepared to be without power for a few days. Food, lights, batteries. We need to fill containers with water. Like we got to start getting around. So we had pretty much everything. But I was at my grocery store the day before the storm hit. Well, technically, like, the storm hit really early Thursday morning at like 2 a.m. I was at Target Wednesday morning just picking up a couple last minute things, and the mood there was a lot different than you guys would think it would be. Like, you would think it's like
people were genuinely scared.
Yes, like you would think it'd be like panic and chaos. No, it was like silent. People were not talking. They were not doing anything else. Everyone had a look of actual genuine terror on their faces, and they were just quietly going about their days. And that was the theme for pretty much the entire week. I was trying to joke about this. Not that it's a situation that warrants joking about, but I was trying to make the mood a little bit more lighthearted to some of you guys. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I did tell some friends, in the movie Titanic, when the string band knows that they're going down with the ship, and they just look at each other and they're like, well, good luck. That's kind of what it was like here.
Wow.
For the days leading up to the storm. I mean, it was scary stuff. Thankfully, Orlando as a whole, we fared pretty well. Here at my residence, we lost power for not even 10 minutes during the very worst of the storm. So thankfully we got off very well. Ray up in Mount Dora, she lost power for about a day. Orlando as a whole didn't really see any flooding. I mean, there was a little bit of localized flooding, but for the most part we did pretty good. A lot of downed trees, a lot of debris. So I mean, it was scary stuff. I mean, the eye literally passed right over us at one point, and the eye of the hurricane it's scary, but we did good. We were prepared. Thankfully, we didn't end up needing to be as prepared as we were, but obviously it's good to be prepared. I do have some family in Sarasota, which is pretty close to where Milton made landfall, and they did all right. Abby, her parents have a trailer that is literal like miles away from the water. Like they're in a canal. They were totally expecting to lose everything. They did not even have so much as a drop of rain in their house.
Oh wow!
So
That's good.
They did good. Milton could have been a lot worse for everybody in the Central Florida and the West Coast of Florida. Thankfully, there was wind shear that kind of weakened the storm as it made landfall. Honestly, I mean, I'm not going to say the worst that Florida got, but the worst that my area got in the northwest part of Orlando was not even Milton itself, but Wednesday afternoon, Milton spawned a bunch of tornadoes.
Yeah.
We actually at one point, we got the notification, confirmed tornado in Osceola County on the ground, seek shelter now.
Wow.
So we did have some tornadoes.
Felt like you were back home in Ohio in Tiffin.
Yeah. Davenport, which is about a city, about 10 miles or so away from me. They got torn up with tornadoes too.
Jeez.
So definitely
Crazy.
Scary stuff, crazy stuff. I don't wish to generalize and say we did great here, because there were people that died, there were people that lost everything, there were people that have had their livelihoods taken away. But for my personal situation, we did all right.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear that you guys are okay. Definitely, we're not a hurricane podcast or anything, but our thoughts and prayers are definitely with everyone that was infected with Milton and also Helene and everything like that, because it's crazy. It's crazy how to see like these pictures and images and videos of everything. Of you're just like I look at myself and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like what happens if like a flood came and your house just literally went away in the flood, literally got picked up and just went away in the flood. Like you lose everything, all your possessions and so on and so forth. So glad that you're okay. And so
back.
Yes, we
Kyle's
are
back. Kyle's dry. Kyle's back.
I am.
So
yeah.
Shall we get on with what our regularly scheduled program?
Yeah.
Let's get into
piece
it
together. So, thankfully, we are no longer leading off these shows with the Top Thrill 2 update. Now we have switched to the Siren's Curse updates. And there's a little bit of an update, not much of an update, but basically just the very, 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 very beginning of construction is beginning. And by that, I mean like construction walls in the Midway have gone up, with banners advertising the ride on them. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Karsten, you said you saw some earth movers starting to show up, not doing anything yet, but they're on site.
I think they were there for that, or unless they're like trying to grade the ground so that way they can make a parking lot over there. Because I know that I saw parking lot lines. For that part of the area, because the park has been very busy.
Yeah, they need that overflow parking that Siren's Curse is going to take over. But so things are starting to move.
It'll be interesting to see if they add actual physical like parking, because in the rendering you can kind of see there's a little bit of a parking lot. So that'll be.
But that might be replacing some parking that they might get rid of. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, it's good to see that there's some movement here, and there's ads all over the park now. Merchandise, a little bit of merchandise is available at Pagoda for Siren's Curse. So our new coasters, it's coming. And like we've said, we don't even need to get into it, but like we said, once it starts going up, I think it'll go up real quick.
I don't know if we quoted this. It's been so long. I don't know if we quoted this, but I know Tony was on the radio station in Sandusky, and he talked a little bit about Siren's Curse, and he said, I think he was asked, like, is it going to be open for opening day? And he wouldn't commit to that. I believe he more likely said that it'll probably be open by Memorial Day-ish or so. Something like
Memorial
that.
Day, Coaster Mania, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I would assume it's just going to depend on, obviously, the weather going into the winter, and stuff like that. But I mean, we've at least got a cool brand new coaster and to look
If
forward
it's
to.
open by the beginning of, like by 4th of July, even, not to set the bar former Six Flags low, but if it's open by 4th of July, considering how late of an announcement this was and how seemingly spur of the moment, I think everybody will be happy.
Yeah. Speaking of spur of the moment, the Cedar Point completely dropped a bomb. So yeah, we were at Creators Day, the last podcast, and then we missed a few weeks, and then we were like, oh, and this was even talked about at Creators Day, but they were like that next following week they announced on their socials going, like, Tony took a picture of the carousel, and I asked Carousel Justin, I was like, hey, what's going on with the carousel? And he's like, oh, hang on, there'll be an announcement. And so Tony, I think later that day, released a video and released everything and was like, oh, by the way, I can't remember what are they calling it? What do they call it, Evan? Isn't it like
SCARE-ousel?
Yes.
Midway SCARE-ousel.
Midway SCARE-ousel. And it actually, you can ride the carousel backwards, not like your physical body, but literally the carousel goes backwards.
And it's really creepy looking. It looks like it's out of a horror movie. Seeing the carousel go backwards.
I was thinking, I was like, it'd be really cool. Like, I know that they play like scary music and stuff or whatever, like on the carousel during, Halloween weekends and stuff.
They're playing Scooby-Doo when we wrote it.
It'd be cool if it'd be kind of trippy too, if they had like a little bit of a remix or something. And it went like when it went backwards and like the songs would be like in reverse or something. I don't know. Maybe it would sound like really bad. But anyway, make sure you ride the carousel backwards. I don't know of any carousel that's ever gone backwards. And so we posted our ride on I think on our TikTok or whatever. I also posted it on our Facebook page, and people are like, wait, you can go backwards on it? I'm like, yeah. And it's an interesting ride. Evan, I was like asking you the whole entire time. I'm like, what do you think? You're like,
it was weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, that was all I could say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth an experience. And if you don't like to go backwards, you still have the Kitty Kingdom carousel that is forwards. So yeah, it's fun. It's a nice little touch for Haunt. I think it's hilarious that this carousel's been in existence for like 100 years, even before its time at Cedar Point, and like nobody realized they could run it backwards.
Right. I don't know. I think it's cool. It's
like I said, it's a nice little touch for.
And you know what? It's spurring a lot of people to ride it because we saw pictures of the queue line, and the queue line was down the Midway and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's good because I mean, why not ride the carousel? Like, I'm to be fair, I don't know when the last time I rode the carousel. So it got me to ride it twice recently.
I looked it up in the Log Ride app. I think the last time I rode it was 2021.
Nice. So make sure you get to ride it before Cedar Point closes for the season, and yeah. So anyway, Kyle, you have a big update for the new coaster that's going into King's Dominion, right?
No,
Six Flags Great America, buddy. God,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw that name and it didn't even register with me. Yeah,
Rakshasa is going into King's Dominion. We don't have an update on that.
I'm sorry. They're still continuing to work on that. But anyway,
yes.
What is the big update? You've had too long of a time off.
Yeah, it's been too long. What is the update that you've got, Kyle?
Six Flags Great America's new roller coaster, new for 2025, Wrath of Rakshasa. That is a crazy name.
Good job on that. There's a reason we made you do this. Yeah. There's a reason we made you do this segment because I can't pronounce that.
Well,
and I giggle. So
yeah, track has showed up on site at Six Flags Great America. It looks like
and it's a nice, pretty blue color.
Yeah, it's a pretty blue color. It looks like it's a piece of the lift that arrived, and yeah, they shared that today.
That's exciting because everyone was like saying, at least I was reading like in like the Six Flags Great America's forum and stuff, and they're like, we're not going to get track until like February. I was like, come on. I'm like,
they're a little too used to typical.
Right. I'm like, I know it's Six Flags, but Cedar Fair is like, they're kind of leading the way, and they're like, they have some little fire under their butt, and so
here's if I were a betting man, and if you guys were betting men, which would you bet on opening first? Siren's Curse or Wrath of Rakshasa?
Honestly,
Wrath of Rakshasa.
I'm gonna have to go with Wrath of Rakshasa.
All right.
Yeah.
Because it's a bigger ride than Siren.
It is, but they've also got like a lot like footers. Like I think I've seen pictures of like actual footers that have been.
They're definitely further along than Cedar Point is,
but it'll be interesting to see.
But it's Cedar Point, and it'll be fun. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with them getting track, and then if they again, it just depends on the winter. If they have a light winter, I mean, boom, boom, boom. You know, they get that done real quick. I mean, I don't see why not.
I think if I'm thinking of the layout of that ride, it's not. It's spread out, but it's like very just. It's not convoluted. It's very just piece by piece by piece. It's not like they have to.
It's like right on top.
It's not
like
a
on
difficult
top.
construction.
It's on top of each other, kind of. It's not. Yeah, you're not spread out all the way like a Magnum or something like that.
It's not like the track wraps around itself a ton, and it should be very straightforward.
You just plant a crane there and move the boom around.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
Like
I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens.
We got a lot of new coasters coming, which is cool. Yeah, like a lot.
Yeah, lots of big purchases being made. And Karsten, I think you know a little something about a big purchase because you told us you weren't gonna buy it, but what did you go ahead and buy? Yeah,
so this past weekend, Cedar Point announced that they were going to get rid. So they have the Maverick track that was used when Maverick first opened. It didn't open to the public. It was just as it was testing. It never opened to the public, but they had a Heartline roll where right before you get your photo on Maverick, like right there, it's now like an S curve.
Yeah, it's a little S curve now after the launch. It's a canyon over the water by Wave Swinger.
Yes. So they obviously, like I said, it never opened to the public. It was completed, and they did testing and things like that. Obviously, before the ride opened, and they found that I believe there was just too many G-forces.
There's too much stress on the trains.
Too much stress on just probably everything. So anyway, this piece of track went missing, I think, a while ago, and then I think someone found it somewhere down in Mansfield, Ohio, and then
Cedar Point got on the phone with somebody.
Yeah, Cedar Point got on the phone with somebody, and they were like, "Oh, we totally forgot that we left that track piece there. Can we have it back?" This is just my thinking of what happened. It's not. This isn't official. So anyway, they were talking to we were talking about it, and we're like, "Hey, are you going to buy a piece?" And I think you were like, "Well, the Guardians are in the playoffs." I love using this analogy. The Guardians are in the playoffs, and I could spend. I scoffed at the $300 price for a ticket at the playoffs, but then 15 minutes later, Cedar Point announced saying that they were going to release limited edition slices of Maverick's track of the Heartline roll that never opened with it, for around like $300 or so. And then you were like,
$300. It didn't seem so bad.
And you were like, not batting an eye. And you're like, $300? That sounds cheap. That sounds great.
I'm not kidding you. It was 20 minutes in between the Guardians put tickets on sale for the American League Championship Series. And I'm for 2 tickets, the cheapest seats. I'm like, let's just see. I'm not going to buy it. Like, oh God, $300. Yeah, whatever. Screw that. Move on with my day. And I'm telling you, it was 20 minutes later. Cedar Point's like, hey, you remember that $300? You could buy a piece of Maverick for that.
Right.
I wasn't the one that bought it. You were the one that bought it.
I did buy it. I did. Thankfully, one of my friends was there and was able to use one of their child's and use their debit card and purchase one for me because it was like one per guest. And so I did buy it. And I believe, don't quote me on it, but I actually believe Cedar Point still has some available. They had, this is I'm going to get on a little pedestal here for a minute. Everybody and their mother always wants to complain and say Cedar Fair or Cedar Point or whatever isn't working with Intamin. First of all, they do work with Intamin because obviously
Millennium wouldn't run.
exactly Millennium wouldn't run. Obviously, they've got a big update coming to Millennium, so I'm sure maybe Intamin is in cahoots with that. We don't know for sure, but maybe. Obviously, they've got all these other Intamin rides that have to be maintained by, the manufacturer. So yes, they do still chat with them, and then just this is what I come back to. They get an autograph from what's his name? Evan, do you have the name?
I can very quickly. By the way, they're on sale still at Pagoda. Out of the 390 pieces we have on sale, 100 have been signed by Sandor Kernax, representative from Maverick's manufacturer, Interride. Sandor was the only person to ride Maverick with this piece in place.
So obviously you had to pick up the phone call and say, "Hi, this is Cedar Point.
Hi, we know we gave Zamperla Top Thrill 2, but
can we get 100 signatures?"
Yeah.
From
we
you.
know you're mad at us because we didn't give you the bid for Top Thrill 2, but can you sign some pieces of track for us?
And I'm sorry. I know that there's tons of rumors out there and stuff. I would love to read a book about what really happened and be like, hey, yeah, so Intamin wanted to do this and they wanted to get rid of this, and this. And we were like, no, we don't want to get rid of those. Or it could have been like Intamin wanted to, I don't know, have make it a bigger coaster than what it was. And maybe what Cedar Fair at the time wanted to pay for it. And they were just like, let's just keep it cheaper and simple. I would love, hopefully sometime down the line, a book comes out of what really went down. Because oh my goodness,
once Tony Clark retires, I feel like he should just write a memoir of, fly on the wall, a Cedar Point story.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good. Oh my gosh.
Just saying, Tony. I'm just saying.
I would buy it. I really would. I really would buy that because, I know, John Hildebrand. He released a book, and Dick Kinzel obviously released a book talking about Top Thrill Dragster and how I think he regretted the decision to go or to build Top Thrill Dragster.
Kinzel was very, very loud about regretting that.
And so it's cool. It's really cool to hear about that, so maybe down the line we'll hear something about that. But anyway, buy a piece of track. I've got one.
So you have Maverick, you have Wicked Twister,
don't judge,
right?
Yes.
And you have Vortex.
Yes. And I also have Son of Beast.
Man, I don't have any. Okay, well, I have a chunk of wood from Twisted Colossus. Well, from Colossus at Magic Mountain. And a chunk of wood from Wild One at Six Flags America.
I also have a lot of nerdy stuff. I've got I think a chain dog or whatever that when you hear the click 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 that goes up on the
lift tool. Wheel?
Hang on, I'm getting to it. I have a chain dog, and that's from what is the park in here? Waldemere. I got one of those, and then I've got some holiday. I've got a ton of stuff. I've got some Holiday World flags that have been flown. I also have a random piece from Jackrabbit that's just sitting in the yard because I don't know what it's like a giant, huge piece. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 5 to 6 feet, but not feet. Sorry, maybe 3 feet big. Something like that stands up. It was one of the posts from the coaster that they had to.
That's something you're going to have in your house.
Right.
In your house.
But yes, I do also have a wheel Wicked Twister. And then I also have a wheel from Mystery Mine.
Do either of you have the chunk of wood from Mean Streak?
I do.
Yeah.
I do have a piece of wood from Mean. On it. I do. You're right. Yeah. So I guess I'm 100% nerd, and if you know,
basically build a coaster.
Yeah,
at this point.
I have the chunk from Mean Streak. I have Vortex, and I have Wicked Twister.
Okay. Evan, you always know the cool stuff, but dang.
Remember at Coaster Con last year? Still last year at Dollywood. What it was a piece of Thunderhead I was gonna bid on. And I did bid on it, and I immediately had buyer's remorse. And then some, God bless him, stupid kid decided he was going to be funny.
Let's just say, no. Let's just say that when you bid, you bid at a high number on that article. I don't remember what it was. And then they were like, you're like looking at the paper and you're like, oh, crap.
Because wasn't there 4 pieces of whatever it was? They had 4, like, there was
something
I don't know
that.
if it was brake fins or something, but they had 4 of them.
Yeah.
And
it was something like that.
The starting price was like $50, and I'm like, I'm going to go for 100. And then like immediately I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
All I need is one of our listeners, please, if you know somebody out there, I would love, and I would pay for it. I would love a coaster chair. Like I want like an actual like seat. And then I will literally turn that seat into an actual computer chair because that would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also, I forgot. There's one big thing that I do own. Oh boy.
What?
Witch's Wheel Cabin.
What? You own one of those?
I do. Yeah. It sits outside.
One, I've known you since they tore out. You said Witch's Wheel.
Yeah.
I've known you since then. I did not know this.
I bought it like because I was able to get a hold of like whatever company ended up getting it. It was like a Ramage Yard or something, and they were like,
so this was not Cedar Point sanctioned. It was just you got lucky.
I did, yeah. So
did you pay for it, or were they just like, oh yeah,
I paid for it. I don't want to tell you how much I paid for it.
Oh God! All right. Well, you're gonna have to send a picture of that.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't like that ride enough to care that much, but I'm just very surprised.
It was just cool to have it, like why not, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's
money is just an object and what you do with it, I mean, as long as you can pay your bills and make sure everything's all paid up and whatever, and you've got fun money. Some people go on trips. I just buy stupid stuff.
YOLO. Hey, no, you do go on trips. You went to Busch Gardens and Kings Dominion this year with us.
I did.
And so, I mean, we're already kind of wrapping up the show. We're really stretching this out. But my mom last weekend happened to go to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Kings Dominion. And normally I probably wouldn't even mention it, but she went during their Halloween Weekends events. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg's Hallow Scream. Is that what they call it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Kings Dominion's just Halloween Haunt or whatever. So she started at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. She went on a Thursday night and had a phenomenal time. There was nobody there. She got on a bunch of rides, yada yada. She got on Verbolten twice, which we did not because it was closed when we were there. So I'm very jealous of that. But she did all their haunted houses. She said they were really good. She particularly liked the one called Deathwater Bayou. She said that one was particularly scary and just very well designed. And then there's another one that's in the Escape from Pompeii building underneath the ride, which is cool. She said you could look up and you like see the underbelly of the turnaround of Escape from Pompeii. She said that one was really cool too. It was like Lost Mine, like you're down in a coal mine kind of thing. She said that one was really good. And then she said Kings Dominion's haunt. She was very impressed by it. And she's not somebody that cares for haunt. Like when she told me she was going to these parks, I figured, okay, well it's during haunt, but she's just night rides, And then she tells me that she did all the haunted houses at all the parks. But so at Kings Dominion, she said theirs was phenomenal, like legitimately. Like she was kind of surprised because, I mean, no offense to Kings Dominion, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's a headlining park in the chain. It's not Cedar Point, Kings Island, Knott's Berry Farm. But she said they have Blood on the Bayou, same name as Cedar Point, but theirs is an indoor version. She said as far as like set design and everything, it was just beautiful. Really, really well done. And then what was the other one she liked? Grim Woods, which is it's kind of like Fairy Tales was trying to be at Cedar Point when it was here for like 2 years or whatever. But it's set up more like Cutthroat Cove is. It's not just a scare zone. It's like, it's an outdoor scare where it's just a separate path. You don't have to wait in line for it. You know what I mean? Like Cutthroat Cove is, like Blood on the Bayou is. She said that one was really good. Out in the woods, it kind of went like around and under Grizzly. And then so she got rides on the refurbed Grizzly and was as blown away by it as us two were.
Right.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
She
rode in the front of the back seat or the front of the back car and said it was just really, really good. And she's just all good things to say about both parks from an operation standpoint, from the actors and everything. We're really into it, really good. At both Busch and Kings Dominion. I guess they kind of have to compete with each other, so they have to kind of be good, or people in that local area will go to one park versus the other. Trying to think what else was noteworthy.
She have the popcorn?
No, she did not do the speakeasy.
Oh, dang it.
I'm trying to think. She did though, however, she didn't eat at Busch Gardens because no meal plan. You got to pay, being that she's Six Flags. But at Kings Dominion, she had their Grain and Grill restaurant and had the chicken with scalloped potatoes. She said the scalloped potatoes were one of the best things she's ever eaten in an amusement park.
Wow. Okay.
And then she was there like the next morning, and it was Saturday of Columbus Day weekend. And it was just beyond packed. She waited an hour for food at the burrito place on International Street. She said, even though she waited a long time, it was pretty darn good. So
that's good.
Yeah. Shout out to Kings Dominion and Busch Williamsburg. She said she saw the progress on Project 305. They're painting it. She saw some of the charcoal paint on the supports and the orange track and maybe the white track, or maybe that's just super power wash track. I don't know which.
Yeah, that's exciting that they're painting that, because it'll be nice to see it in person next year.
Yeah,
and see what it looks like. And there was an announcement, right? There was an announcement that the park.
Kinda.
They said what was it?
November 3rd is your last day to ride it as Project 305. Like everything you know about Project 305 will no longer something I could bring.
Yeah. So I wonder if like November 4th, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, this is the new ride. It's like, oh,
this is the new theme because we got to fit it in with Rapterra. Rapterra has been finished since we've been there, and she saw that. And she echoed us where it's just like the interaction with the pathway is going to be just awesome.
Yeah. Were they testing it at all or anything? No, not yet.
A lot of progress has been made.
I'm sure.
A lot of progress.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably start testing here within the next maybe month or so.
On October 4th, Kings Dominion tweeted, "The project is nearing completion. 11/3 is your final day to ride 305 as you know it." So
that's exciting.
We'll get our retheme and all that good stuff. But yeah, shout out to Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens for putting on good events. If my mom was impressed by a haunt event, honestly, it was probably pretty darn good because she just doesn't care for that stuff.
I love it.
She got a ton of rides in too. So yeah,
good.
She did her own. We did boys trip. She did mom's trip.
Man, you know what?
She was visiting her sisters out there, and she did some national parks and stuff. The Natural Bridge National Park, and I believe it would be Western Virginia. She went and was sending me pictures. Absolutely beautiful.
Wow. So, especially this time of the year when the leaves are changing and unfortunately fall. But shout out to the Cedar Point employees, I just want to say, and also like Kings Island. I've heard it's been really busy. You said Kings Dominion's been really busy. Shout out to all those employees. Because the weather's been perfect around here, besides like the weird like hurricane that that was down south and stuff. And also we had a lot of the remnants of Helene up here and everything that rained for a little bit. But oh my goodness, the parks have been jam slammed. Everybody, because like it's like 75, 80 degrees on like a fall day, and everyone's just wanting to get those last minute trips in. So definitely shout out and to the ride ops and all everybody that works at the parks and things like that for the patience and having to deal with everybody and trying to park all those people and things like that. So it's definitely not an easy task for sure. Speaking of that,
there's 10 more operating days.
That's sad. That's sad. Three more weeks. I mean, honestly, we're gonna release this on Saturday, but three more weeks. Like 2 more weeks actually, if you think about it, because you've got this Saturday and then next week. And then the following.
As you're listening, if you listen to this as we drop, it's 8 more operating days.
Thank God. Cedar Point decided to add another
those
weekend.
2 days.
I was like, "Whoa!"
I know. I keep looking at the calendar, like, "Oh my God, it's already almost closing weekend." Oh wait, no, we still have another weekend.
I remember going to Media Day with you to Top Thrill 2, and it was like 40 degrees outside, and we were bundled up, and we're like, oh, is this ride going to open because it's so cold? And sure enough, it just
opened that day.
right up there, and things like, oh my goodness, though. It's a whirlwind of how I feel like, at least for me, I feel like the year has gone by slow, at least for me. I talked to some other people, and they're like, no, the year's gone by so fast. So I'm just like, oh. So
I had a lot of like life things happen this year, though. I bought a house and just keeping busy with my other hobbies and the Cleveland Monsters, they were still playing hockey in June. And so that was keeping me busy. So the season just flew by for me. But anyways, all the end of year housekeeping things, Karsten.
Yeah. So anyway, on that note, on closing day, Cedar Point, which would be November 2nd, we will be, I'm not 100% sure, probably around 3:00 or so. We'll be having our group photo. We were going to actually have it in front of Snake River Falls. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it over.
And they announced Siren's Curse.
Yeah, we're going to do it over in the Siren's Curse area. I will have a detailed picture of where we're going to do this at. So make sure you watch our Facebook page, because all the details will be released probably within the next week or so, just so that way you can save the date, kind of thing. And then also, we do have our 2025 CP Rundown calendar going to be on for sale. I've started to go through some of the photos. I actually posted a teaser photo today. Shout out to Brett. He was able to bless us with one of the really cool photos that he took during one of the many solar Northern Lights that we seem to have this year, which is really strange and weird, but I'll take it, which is really cool. But there's Magnum in the background, and you can see the really cool like solar lights from in the sky, different colors and things like that. So still putting that together. That'll be on sale soon. And you'll be able to get that before the holidays. And I'll be at, I believe, Great Ohio's holiday party. I'll be selling those there if you wanted to save a little bit of money and not have to pay for shipping and things like that. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got. Kyle, I know you've been dodging hurricanes left and right down there. Do you, I know the listeners love to hear your Horror Nights updates. Do you have any crazy good Horror Night updates, or any difference in your top
leaving?
5?
Are you heading to Horror Nights as soon as we hang up here?
I don't know. I thought about it, and here's the thing. It is such a nice night tonight. We're in like the 60s. There's no humidity. I could pop a hoodie on and be good.
But it means it's busy.
I know. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go or not.
It's not too bad. I'm looking right now.
I think you should go. It'll be like a fall night at like Cedar Point, only down south.
I know, but I'm on the road for work tomorrow, and I don't know. I'm still thinking.
No rest for the weary.
But as far as my rankings go, not a whole lot has changed. Major Suites is still at the top for me. That's still my number one house.
Nice.
Eternal Bloodlines and Goblin's Feast both have kind of been climbing the ranks for me. I have Goblin's Feast at 4 and Eternal Bloodlines at 5 these days.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know if something happened, but at one point I just started going through those houses, and it was like someone flipped the switch and they started getting a lot better. So those two are up there for me. I think those were a lot lower in my previous rankings. Monsteros is still at the bottom, as well as Museum. Yeah. Monsteros and Museum are.
I agree with those.
9 and 10. Honestly, not any huge shakeups or anything. We have
Fireplace and Ghostbusters are towards the top.
Yeah, we have 3 weeks of the event left, so I got 3 weeks left of Horror Nights this year.
And then we'll get your honest.
Yes.
These were my rankings.
Right.
I don't know, unless
it's like so long ago we were there. Oh my god.
Yeah, unless something happens, I don't see my number one Major Suites getting knocked down. But
that's such a solid
anything can happen.
I had such a bad run of it.
Oh,
I got a bad run of Chucky. And
about to pull out the card just to buy you a flight and be like, you need to go there. And
I'll take you up on that. I could be on a flight tomorrow morning if that's the case.
Oh, you're gonna take a sick day to work, huh?
You should talk to Justin. So I took him to Hollowscream over at SeaWorld a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And when we were leaving, he gave me a bunch of single-use line skippies for HHN. So you should talk to him, see if he has any of those lying around.
Yeah, right.
Cedar Point is only open on Saturday of closing weekend, and HHN ends on Sunday. So
Yeah. That is true.
One could dream. One could dream.
I do know that, speaking of Justin, me and him will be there at HHN on Halloween night this year, if anyone wants to join.
Ooh.
Nice.
Little meetup.
Yeah, we did that a couple years ago in 22 as well. We were both there on Halloween night, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, if you want to join Kyle or Justin down in Florida, feel free to send us a message on our Facebook page, and we will get you more details to meet up with them.
Be a CP rundown photo instead of in front of the Insidious red face mount.
Yeah.
That house was so scary, dude.
No, I'll post it on Rundown and be like, where's this at point?
On a kind of on the train of haunts, I have two things. I got to go check out Hollowscream at Tampa again, and I'm a
big fan of that event.
I know I said this last year, but that is a criminally underrated haunt event. It is so good. Their new Shadows of Wonderland house is insane. I mean, when that event is firing on all cylinders, I mean, I know they don't have as many houses. I know they don't have as many scare zones. They do have more shows. They have more shows at Hollowscream. But it is such a good event. Their new Shadows of Wonderland house is insane. I really wish they would have had maybe one or two more new houses this year, because some of them are a little stale at this point. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about that event. It is such a great event. And then
have to do that.
My second little haunt
have to do all the houses down there.
Yeah,
one of these times, like all of them.
Yeah.
The second part to my little haunt is I have 2 local haunts I'm slated to visit within the next couple weeks. Tales of Terror in Mount Dora, and then Sir Henry's in Plant City, which are both kind of renowned little independent haunt events.
I'm surprised, like, Ohio has a lot of little independent haunt events. I'm surprised they can survive in Florida with the big boys. I mean, they got to be damn good.
I know
if they're surviving.
They're very different products, though. I mean, that's the thing. It's a different environment at those independent haunts than it is at the parks. It's a little less sterile. It's a little more real. I think there's a market for both.
Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to hear about that, because I've heard of the second one, Henry's or whatever.
Sir Henry's, yeah.
Sir Henry's, yeah. I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear how it is.
My third little piece of haunt is, guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm about ready for the haunts to be done for the year. I think I went a little too hard this year, and I'm a little burnt out. Not gonna lie.
A little sick of the crowds at Universal too, I bet.
Friday, I haven't been to a non-haunt theme park in a while. So Friday after work, I was like, you know what? We just had 2 hurricanes. I've been going to haunts all the time. I'm gonna go over to Islands. I have Express after 4. I'm just gonna ride some stuff. I'm not even gonna go to Horror Nights. That was a lie. I did go to Horror Nights, but I only did Major Suites, and then I left. I was at the event for like a half hour. But it was so refreshing going to a park again and not dealing with
riding roller coasters.
Yeah, and not dealing with haunt crowds and haunt people and lines, and it was definitely a breath of fresh air.
That's one thing about Horror Nights. I don't know what they're supposed to do because they're a resort, but man, they need a chaperone policy.
Yeah,
or something, because those crowds get a little much.
It
I'm sure you're looking forward to the November, like the first couple weeks in November when there's just nobody at Universal.
Yep. It'll be fun.
All your rides in.
But yeah, I got to do Hagrid's, Velocicoaster, Spider-Man, Forbidden Journey, just a bunch of good, solid rides that I haven't done in a while.
You said you hadn't ridden Velocicoaster in like 2 months.
I hadn't been on Velocicoaster or Hagrid's in like 2 months because I hadn't even been to Islands in like 2 months since Horror Nights started. I hadn't been to Islands.
I couldn't keep myself away from Islands. I love that park so much.
Between work and HHN and just other responsibilities, I had not made it over there.
Makes sense.
And being that Islands closes at 8:00
Yeah.
most nights, it's tough. I get it.
I'll just say on the hunt thing, I'm actually going this coming weekend. I'm going to what's called Field of Fear, in the Toledo area. So if anybody's listens in the Toledo area, it's going to be there on Friday. I'm gonna check that out and see what that's all about and everything. And then just really quick, this isn't in our notes. I was gonna say, if you're looking for something to do in the winter, obviously Kings Island Winterfest will be going on and stuff, but you want something a little bit more closer to home up in the Cleveland area. The Cleveland Metro Park Zoo is bringing back their Wild Winter Lights for their season. So it'll have a bunch of holiday lights and things like that throughout the zoo and things like that. So go to the zoo's website and check out that information for more.
Fun. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. You can see a bunch of cool animals with some cool Christmas lights, So, and you don't have to travel, I mean, not that Kings Island's far, but you don't have to travel, far for it.
The Toledo Zoo also has a really solid event too, the Lights Before Christmas. That is also worth a visit if you're more of the in the Toledo area.
That is interesting.
All right. Well, maybe we won't take a whole month off.
Yeah, we'll probably take next week off. We're not 100% sure, but probably. Well, it just depends on the news. If we do take next week off, we will definitely follow back up with the following week, though. We will scrounge something
before closing weekend,
before closing weekend. That way we can, get everything off and everything. But
all right.
Well, that's gonna do it from us this week for this episode of the Rundown on Fun. I don't have anything else for anybody. Good night.
Well, welcome back, Kyle. Welcome back, us. Just again, glad everybody's okay with the hurricane. Still prayers for everybody who's still affected by it and all that good stuff. We'll talk to you when we talk to you.
And make sure you share this podcast with all of your friends, and feel free to share it with all of your coworkers. Thanks, guys, for listening.
All right, that's gonna do it from us. Take it away, Justin.
Thank you for listening to the Rundown on Fun. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Cedar Fair. As always, be kind to your ride operators, and we will see you on the Midway. Good night.